Kai stood at the edge of the landing platform, staring at the alien city below. Zelura was unlike any world he had seen before. Towering spires of crystal shimmered under the pale green sky, and streets twisted like rivers of metal and stone. Strange lights floated above the city, casting soft glows across the buildings. From this distance, the city seemed alive, as if it breathed with its own rhythm. Kai adjusted the strap of his armor and took a deep breath. He was far from Earth, far from the familiar stars and planets he had known. This mission was dangerous, but it was also a chance to prove something bigger than himself. Humanity had always been underestimated by other worlds. Today, he would show that humans could rise above fear and doubt. As he stepped onto the transport platform, Kai felt the hum of alien technology beneath his boots. The platform descended slowly, carrying him closer to the grand arena at the center of the city. From above, the arena looked like a jewel, a massive circle of polished stone and metal with banners waving in the alien breeze. Around it, thousands of Zelorans had gathered, their multicolored skin shimmering under the soft green light. Some had wings, others moved on many legs, but all were watching him now. Kai's heart beat steadily. He had faced danger before, but never like this. On Zelura, he was a stranger, a human among creatures who had lived for centuries. Yet he did not feel fear. He felt focus. He felt the determination that had carried him through countless battles back home. As the transport landed, Kai stepped off and walked toward the arena gates. The crowd's murmurs grew louder. He could feel their eyes on him, measuring him, questioning him. Some Zelorans whispered that humans were fragile, that no human could survive a duel with Queen Myra. Others looked intrigued, curious to see if this human could really face the Queen. Kai remembered his training. He remembered the countless hours of preparation, the missions that had pushed him beyond his limits. He remembered what his father had told him before he left Earth: strength is not only in the body. It is in the mind, in the courage to stand when others doubt you. The arena doors opened with a deep hum. Kai walked in slowly, letting the crowd see him. He noticed the fine details of the arena. The floor was polished and smooth, with markings that seemed to glow faintly. The walls were lined with alien symbols that he could not read. Above, the sky was visible through a giant dome that reflected the green light of Zelura's sun. At the center of the arena, standing on a raised platform, was Queen Myra. She was taller than any human, her presence commanding respect without a word. Her armor shimmered with a deep purple hue, and her eyes, sharp and intelligent, watched Kai carefully. Her hair was like silver fire, flowing around her shoulders as she moved slightly, acknowledging his presence. Kai stopped a few meters from the center. He bowed slightly, not out of fear, but as a sign of respect. He knew this queen was not only a warrior but a leader. To challenge her, he would need more than strength. He would need strategy, skill, and courage. The crowd quieted as Kai spoke, his voice steady and clear. I am Kai, a human warrior. I have come to challenge Queen Myra. I do not seek war, but I seek to show that humans are not weak. We are strong, we are clever, and we are brave. I ask for a duel, not for conquest, but for understanding. A ripple of astonishment passed through the audience. Never had a human dared to speak to Queen Myra like this. Some Zelorans gasped, others leaned forward, trying to see her reaction. Queen Myra's face remained calm. She tilted her head slightly, studying Kai. Her eyes narrowed, not in anger, but in curiosity. Kai felt a surge of determination. He had expected surprise, perhaps even rejection, but he did not waver. He had trained for this moment. Every decision he had made, every battle he had fought, had led him here. The duel was not just about him. It was about humanity. It was about proving that humans could face the impossible and stand tall. Queen Myra stepped forward, her movement smooth and precise. She raised her hand slightly, a gesture that silenced the crowd completely. "You are brave, human," she said, her voice deep and resonant. "Many would not even enter this arena. Yet courage alone is not enough. Are you prepared to face me fully, without hesitation, without doubt?" Kai met her gaze without flinching. "I am prepared," he said. "I will not falter. I will not back down. I fight not only for myself but for my people." A murmur of approval ran through the crowd. They had not expected a human to speak with such confidence. Some Zelorans exchanged glances, realizing that perhaps humans were not as fragile as they believed. Queen Myra nodded slightly, a faint smile touching her lips. "Very well," she said. "The duel will be held at the arena center. Prepare yourself, human, for I do not hold back." Kai's mind sharpened. He knew that this duel would test every skill he had. It would challenge his strength, his speed, and his thinking. But he also knew that he had something the Queen might not fully expect, the human ability to adapt, to innovate, and to persevere against overwhelming odds. As the crowd watched in anticipation, Kai stepped back, readying himself. He felt the weight of the moment, the attention of the entire alien world upon him. Yet he did not fear. He felt alive, focused, and determined to prove that humans could rise to any challenge. The sun of Zilura bathed the arena in soft green light, casting long shadows across the polished floor. Kai breathed deeply, centering himself. Soon, the duel would begin, and the world would see whether a human could truly stand against the might of the alien queen. Kai tightened his fists, feeling the armor against his skin. He knew this moment would be remembered for generations. He was not just a warrior. He was a symbol. A symbol that humans, even in the face of being stronger and larger than themselves, could face danger without fear, could challenge the impossible, and could inspire wonder in those who watched. The arena fell silent, the tension almost tangible. Kai and Queen Myra stood apart, two warriors from different worlds. The first step toward a legendary duel was about to begin, and every eye in the crowd followed their movements. Kai's heart was steady, his mind clear. He was ready. The arena was quiet now, but the tension was heavy. Every Zealoran in the crowd was watching, their eyes fixed on Kai and Queen Myra. The human warrior had not flinched when he spoke. He had dared to challenge the ruler of their world. Whispers passed through the audience. Could a human really face Queen Myra in combat? Kai did not look at the crowd. He only focused on Myra. Her posture was flawless, her body relaxed yet ready for action. She studied him closely. Her sharp eyes seemed to weigh his every movement, every muscle, every breath. Kai knew that this duel was more than physical strength. It was also a test of courage, of mind, and of strategy. "Human," Myra said, her voice strong and commanding, "you have entered my arena and asked for a duel. This is not a small request. Are you certain of your choice?" Kai stepped forward, meeting her gaze without hesitation. "I am certain, Queen Myra. I do not seek to disrespect you. I only seek to show the strength of my people. We are underestimated often, but we do not give up. We do not fear challenges." A ripple ran through the crowd. The Zelorans had never heard a human speak like this. Their queen rarely faced challengers. And yet this human stood firm, calm, and fearless. Some felt pride for the first time in seeing a human who could match the confidence of their strongest warrior. Myra tilted her head slightly, studying him. She could see his determination. She could see the discipline that came from rigorous training. "Very well," she said. "The duel will begin at the center of the arena. You will have a chance to prepare. Choose your approach carefully, human. I will not hold back." Kai nodded. He understood that this was not a threat. It was a warning. He needed every advantage he could find. He stepped back and looked around the arena. The floor was polished stone, smooth and slippery in some areas. Platforms and raised sections formed obstacles and potential traps. The arena was designed to favor Myra, who knew every inch of it. Kai took a deep breath and began to plan. He studied the raised platforms, noting which ones could give him a higher vantage point. He looked at the walls, imagining ways to use them for movement and defense. He observed the light and shadows, thinking how they could hide his movements or create distractions. Every detail mattered. Every second of observation could save him in the duel. Nearby, Myra watched silently. She did not speak or move, but her presence was commanding. Even as Kai planned, he could feel the weight of her attention. The queen was evaluating him, testing his courage and intelligence. Kai could not afford a single mistake. After a few minutes, Kai knelt briefly and whispered a small prayer of focus. He remembered his training on Earth, where every battle began with calm and preparation. He visualized the duel, imagining how Myra might move and how he could respond. This mental rehearsal was crucial. He knew the queen would adapt quickly, and only someone who could think several steps ahead could survive. The crowd grew restless. They whispered among themselves, speculating on the outcome. Many had assumed that a human could not survive even a single round with Myra. Yet Kai's calm and steady posture made some doubt their assumptions. Humans were small compared to Zellerans, but they had something unexpected: resilience, creativity, and courage. Finally, Myra stepped down from her raised platform. Her armor glinted in the pale green light. Every movement was precise, elegant, and purposeful. She walked to the center of the arena, her steps measured. She stopped a few meters from Kai, her eyes locked on him. Kai rose to his full height. Though he was smaller than Myra, he did not shrink back. He felt his muscles tighten with readiness. His senses were sharp. Every sound, every movement of the air, every shift of Myra's stance was important. He felt alive, more alert than ever. "Prepare yourself, human," Myra said calmly. "Your courage brought you here, but courage alone may not be enough. You must be quick, clever, and strong." Kai nodded. "I am ready, Queen Myra. I will give my best. I will not retreat. I will meet this challenge fully." The arena doors behind them opened slightly, and a soft wind moved across the floor. The air was charged, as if the planet itself was aware of the duel about to begin. Kai could hear the murmur of the crowd, the faint whispers of anticipation, but he ignored them. His focus was solely on Myra. He took a few steps forward, testing his balance on the smooth floor. Myra mirrored him, moving lightly on her feet. Her eyes never left his. Kai could see the subtle movements of her muscles, the tension in her stance. Every detail mattered. He understood that the duel would not only be about brute strength. It would be about intelligence, strategy, and timing. Kai's mind raced with possibilities. How could he use his smaller size to his advantage? How could he avoid her powerful strikes? He thought about feints, misdirect ions, and clever positioning. He considered how to make the arena work for him, using obstacles to slow her down or create openings. Minutes passed as both warriors circled each other slowly. The crowd held its breath. No one spoke. Every eye was fixed on the human who dared to challenge the queen. Kai could feel the weight of history on his shoulders. He was representing not only himself but the human race. Then Myra stopped suddenly. Her movements were lightning fast, yet controlled. She raised her hands in a gesture that signaled the start. Kai responded immediately, stepping into a ready stance. His heart beat steadily, his mind sharp. The moment had come. The duel was about to begin. Every second, every movement, every choice would matter. Kai knew that the first exchanges would set the tone. He felt the energy of the arena, the attention of the crowd, and the presence of Queen Myra. He tightened his fists and took a deep breath. "I am ready," he whispered to himself. Myra's gaze remained fixed on him. She was not just an opponent. She was a test, a challenge to everything humans believed about themselves. Kai welcomed it. The duel would soon begin, and the outcome would be watched by the entire planet. Kai knew this. He also knew that no matter what happened, he would face the challenge fully, with courage, skill, and intelligence. Humans had been underestimated for too long. Today, he would show them what humanity could achieve. Kai took a deep breath and stepped into the center of the arena. His eyes never left Queen Myra. She stood with perfect balance, her hands relaxed but ready to strike. The air between them seemed to hum with tension. This was more than a duel, it was a test of skill, courage, and intelligence. Kai began with slow, deliberate movements. He circled Myra, keeping his distance while observing her every gesture. Her stance shifted slightly with each step, and he noted the subtle changes in her weight, the way her eyes tracked him. Every detail could give him an advantage if he stayed alert. The crowd watched silently, holding its collective breath. Every Zealoran present had seen skilled warriors before, but few had faced a human who did not appear afraid. Kai's calm, confident demeanor made them reconsider their assumptions. Humans were small compared to Zealorans, but this one moved with focus and purpose. Myra did not rush. She allowed Kai to move, to assess, to prepare. Her sharp eyes followed him, reading his intentions. She understood that this duel would be more than brute strength. It would be about strategy, clever thinking, and adaptability. She would test him, but she also wanted to see how far a human could go. Kai flexed his fingers and tested his footing on the polished stone floor. He knew Myra could strike at any moment, and a single misstep could cost him the duel. He practiced quick footwork, shifting his weight smoothly from one leg to another. He experimented with small feints, pretending to move one way and then adjusting, ready to respond to her reactions. As he moved, Kai also studied the arena itself. Raised platforms could provide cover or a vantage point. Shadows could hide his movements. He calculated angles, thinking about how he could use the space to avoid her powerful attacks. His mind worked rapidly, weighing every possibility. Humans were small and fast, and this advantage could make a difference if used correctly. Myra stepped closer, her movements precise and controlled. She struck lightly at first, testing his reflexes. Kai reacted immediately, dodging and countering with careful timing. The crowd gasped at the speed of his responses. Even a small human could anticipate and respond to Myra's attacks. Kai's eyes focused sharply. He realized that raw strength would not win this duel. He needed to combine speed, intelligence, and timing. He tested a quick pivot, then a feigned attack to see how Myra would respond. She moved almost effortlessly, countering his feint, but Kai noticed the slightest delay. Even the strongest warrior had limits, and Kai intended to find them. He moved in short bursts, advancing and retreating with careful precision. Each step was deliberate, each movement calculated. He watched Myra's reactions, noting how she adjusted her stance and timing. Kai was learning, adapting, and preparing to exploit any opportunity. The crowd began to murmur in admiration. Many Zealorans had assumed a human could not last against Myra. Yet here he was, moving confidently, anticipating her attacks, and responding with skill. His courage and intelligence impressed even the most skeptical observers. Myra increased her speed slightly, testing Kai further. Her strikes were faster and stronger, but Kai used agility and careful positioning to evade. He learned her rhythm, predicting the arcs of her attacks and responding with precise movements. The duel was not yet a full battle, but Kai had already gained insight into her fighting style. Kai paused for a moment, breathing steadily. He reflected on his training on Earth, remembering lessons in patience, observation, and strategy. A direct attack would not work. He needed to wait for the right moment, to combine clever tactics with timing. Humans were small, yes, but small could be fast, unpredictable, and clever. Myra observed silently, impressed by Kai's discipline. Many warriors she had faced would panic under her pressure, but Kai remained calm. His movements were precise, and his mind was alert. He was not simply reacting, he was analyzing, predicting, and preparing. Myra realized that this human had something unusual, a combination of courage and intelligence that was rare even among Zellerans. Kai continued to move, weaving around the arena. He used shadows and platforms to his advantage, testing his balance and agility. He imagined different scenarios, practicing mental responses to each one. Every step, every feint, every shift of weight was a preparation for the duel to come. The arena itself seemed alive with tension. The soft green light from Zealara's sun reflected off the polished floor, casting moving shadows. The crowd's silence made the moment feel even more intense. Kai's focus was complete. He could hear the subtle sounds of Myra's movements, feel the vibrations of her steps on the floor, and sense her intent. Kai adjusted his stance, ready for the next move. He knew the first full exchanges would set the tone for the duel. He had prepared himself physically, mentally, and strategically. He was ready to face Myra's strength with all the skill he could summon. Myra stepped back slightly, giving Kai more space. She could see that he was serious, prepared, and not afraid. She had tested many warriors, but few had shown such calm confidence. She admired his courage. The duel would be challenging, yes, but it would also be a true test of skill and strategy. Kai took a final deep breath. He felt the energy of the arena around him, the attention of the crowd, and the presence of Queen Myra. Everything was in place. The preparation was complete. Now it was time for action. With steady eyes and calm determination, Kai moved closer to Myra. He was ready to begin the duel, not just with strength but with intelligence, agility, and courage. This was the moment where humans would show their true potential. The arena held its breath. Kai and Myra faced each other, two warriors from different worlds. One was a human, small but clever and brave. The other was the Queen of Zealara, strong, skilled, and experienced. The first step of combat was about to begin, and every movement would matter. Kai tightened his fists and focused on Myra's every gesture. He was ready to meet her strength with determination, skill, and strategy. The duel was no longer just preparation. It was about to become a test of human courage and ingenuity. Kai and Queen Myra faced each other at the center of the arena. The soft green light of Zealara's sun reflected off the polished floor, creating long shadows that danced as they moved. The crowd was silent, every eye fixed on the human and the queen. This was the moment that would be remembered for generations. Myra moved first. Her steps were swift and precise. She launched a controlled strike toward Kai, testing his reflexes. Kai reacted immediately, dodging to the side and rolling smoothly across the floor. The audience gasped at the speed of his movements. The human was not only brave but also remarkably agile. Kai quickly regained his stance. He watched Myra carefully, noting the subtle shifts in her posture. Every movement she made carried intent. He knew that one wrong step could put him in serious danger. Yet he remained calm, relying on his training and the preparation he had done in the moments before the duel began. Myra struck again, this time with more force. Kai blocked the attack with his forearm, absorbing the impact and stepping back. The force of her strike was powerful, and he felt the pressure in his arms. But he held his ground, understanding that human strength combined with strategy could counter raw power. Kai decided it was time to test her. He feinted a step to the left and then quickly moved to the right, attempting to catch her off balance. Myra reacted instantly, shifting her weight and countering the movement. Kai realized that the queen was not only strong but also highly intelligent. She could adapt quickly to unexpected tactics. The crowd murmured in astonishment. They had expected a quick duel, with Myra overpowering the human in moments. Yet Kai was keeping pace. He dodged, blocked, and countered, using every inch of the arena to his advantage. Platforms and shadows became part of his strategy. He moved lightly, sometimes circling, sometimes advancing, always observing Myra's reactions. Myra increased the intensity of her attacks. Her strikes became faster, flowing in a rhythm that Kai had to anticipate. He focused on timing, predicting the arcs of her movements. He ducked under a swift strike, rolled, and pushed off the floor to land behind her. The audience gasped. The human had used the arena itself as a tool, turning obstacles into advantages. Kai noticed small openings in Myra's rhythm. They were fleeting, but they existed. He had trained to recognize such moments, to react instantly. He used a low sweep to force her to step back, then immediately changed direction, keeping her on the defensive. The duel was no longer just about power. It was about thinking, planning, and reacting faster than the opponent. Myra paused for a fraction of a second, evaluating Kai's tactics. She had faced many skilled warriors, but few had used clever strategies instead of relying solely on strength. She respected him more with every move. Her strikes became more unpredictable, testing not only his speed but also his judgment. Kai felt the intensity of the moment. Sweat began to form on his forehead, but he did not slow. Every strike, every dodge, every movement required focus. His body and mind worked together in harmony. He relied on instinct, training, and observation. Humans were not the strongest in the galaxy, but they could adapt, improvise, and persist. That was his greatest strength. Myra launched a spinning strike, her foot sweeping across the floor. Kai jumped back just in time, landing lightly on his feet. He saw an opening and moved quickly, attempting a controlled strike toward her side. Myra blocked it effortlessly, but Kai had learned something important. He could pressure her, forcing her to adjust continuously. The crowd was on the edge of their seats. Zellerans had never seen a duel like this. The human was not just surviving, he was challenging their strongest warrior. Every movement was calculated, every action clever. Kai's courage and intelligence were making a statement that humans were not to be underestimated. Kai decided to change his approach. Instead of waiting for her to attack, he advanced carefully, using misdirection. He made small feints with his hands and feet, forcing Myra to react. She moved with perfect precision, but the constant adjustment began to show in her rhythm. Kai noticed this and used it to his advantage, keeping her guessing at every moment. Myra responded with a flurry of rapid strikes. Kai dodged and parried, stepping to the side and using a raised platform to gain better footing. The force of her attacks was tremendous, but Kai had anticipated this. He used the arena's features to absorb some of the energy and redirect his movements. Each step, each block, each counter required careful timing. Kai found a momentary opening and moved quickly, striking toward her shoulder. Myra blocked, but Kai followed up immediately with a low sweep that forced her to step back. It was a small victory, but it showed that the human could challenge her. Myra's expression remained calm, but her eyes showed growing respect. The duel continued, a dance of skill and strategy. Kai moved with speed and precision, keeping Myra on her toes. He used every tool available: shadows, platforms, spacing, timing, and clever feints. Myra's strikes were powerful and fast, but Kai's intelligence allowed him to counter effectively. Both warriors were breathing steadily now, yet their focus never wavered. The crowd could sense the tension, the anticipation, and the skill on display. Kai was proving that size and strength were not the only measures of a warrior. Intelligence, courage, and adaptability could match even the strongest opponent. Myra launched a final, powerful strike for this exchange. Kai dodged, rolling across the polished floor, and used the momentum to land a controlled strike near her leg. Myra blocked, but Kai smiled inwardly. He had forced her to react, to adjust, and to respect his skill. The human was no longer just surviving. He was proving himself as a worthy opponent. The crowd erupted into whispers of astonishment and admiration. Zellerans had underestimated humans for too long. Here was a human who could match their queen in skill, strategy, and courage. Kai's actions were not only impressive, they were inspiring. Kai and Myra paused, breathing steadily, studying each other. The first exchanges of the duel had been intense, but Kai had learned valuable lessons. He understood her strength, her timing, and her intelligence. He had adapted, reacted, and survived. Myra nodded slightly, acknowledging Kai's skill. She had tested him, and he had met the challenge with courage and cleverness. The duel was far from over, but Kai had proven that humans could rise to challenges that seemed impossible. Kai tightened his fists, ready for the next phase. The duel had begun in earnest, and every move from this point forward would be crucial. The human warrior was no longer just a visitor to Zelera. He was a symbol of courage, intelligence, and the potential of humanity. The arena held its breath once more. Kai and Myra faced each other, ready to continue their legendary duel. Both were aware that the coming moments would test everything they had prepared. The human warrior had begun to show his true strength, and the audience watched in awe, knowing that they were witnessing something extraordinary. Kai smiled faintly, feeling the energy of the arena and the anticipation of the crowd. He was ready to meet the next challenge. He was ready to continue proving that humanity could face the impossible with courage, intelligence, and heart. The duel had been going for some time. Kai and Queen Myra circled each other, both breathing steadily, both aware of the other's strength. The crowd watched silently, captivated by the unexpected display of skill. Kai's movements were precise and clever, and Myra's responses were sharp and calculated. The duel was no longer simply about power, it had become a contest of intelligence and strategy. Kai decided to change his approach. He had learned Myra's patterns, her timing, and the subtle cues she gave before each strike. Humans were smaller and weaker than Zellerans, but they had an advantage in unpredictability. He could use his agility and creativity to stay one step ahead. He began with a feint. He pretended to attack from his left side, but at the last moment, he twisted and moved right, forcing Myra to adjust. She blocked quickly, her movements flawless, but Kai noticed a tiny pause in her rhythm. Even the strongest warriors had small openings, and he intended to exploit them carefully. The crowd gasped at Kai's cleverness. Zellerans were not used to seeing humans fight with such strategy. Most humans relied on raw strength or courage, but Kai combined intelligence with skill. He moved around the arena, using platforms and shadows to his advantage, making it difficult for Myra to anticipate his next move. Myra's eyes narrowed. She respected Kai's courage, but she was not about to be outsmarted. She increased the intensity of her attacks, changing the rhythm and direction to challenge him further. Kai adjusted immediately, dodging and countering with precision. Each movement required calculation and split-second timing. Kai noticed that some of the raised platforms could serve as both cover and launching points. He stepped lightly onto one, using it to gain higher ground. From this position, he could observe Myra's stance more clearly. He calculated the timing of her next strike and planned his counter carefully. Myra reacted to his new position, striking downward with speed and power. Kai jumped to the side and rolled, using the platform to spring back up. The human's creativity in movement was beginning to impress even Myra. She had faced many skilled warriors, but few had used the environment so effectively. Kai pressed the advantage. He moved unpredictably, changing speed and direction, forcing Myra to adapt continuously. Every feint, every step, every small attack kept her guessing. Kai could see her focus deepen, her respect growing. He had gained more than small openings, He had unsettled one of the strongest warriors on Zilura. The crowd's murmurs turned into whispers of astonishment. Humans were often underestimated, but Kai was proving that courage and intelligence could rival even the most powerful beings. Every clever move he made inspired excitement and admiration. Myra decided to test him further. She combined a series of rapid strikes, aiming to overwhelm him. Kai dodged, blocked, and moved carefully, letting some attacks slide past to create openings. He reacted with well-timed counterattacks, landing near Myra without causing harm but showing that he could strike when opportunity arose. Kai felt a surge of determination. He had prepared for this duel, and now his preparation was paying off. The combination of observation, strategy, and agility allowed him to challenge Myra more effectively than anyone had expected. He realized that humans' greatest strength was their ability to adapt quickly and think creatively under pressure. Myra stepped back briefly, assessing Kai's approach. She had not encountered a warrior who moved with such intelligence and calm. Most relied on raw power, but Kai used strategy, feints, and clever positioning. She decided to change her tactics, testing him in a different way. Kai noticed the shift immediately. Myra's movements became less predictable, combining feints with real strikes. She aimed not only at his body but also at controlling the space around him. Kai responded with equal cleverness, predicting some of her moves, avoiding others, and continuing to use the arena to his advantage. He moved closer to Myra now, baiting her into a series of exchanges. He feigned weakness in one position, then struck quickly when she adjusted. Myra blocked and countered, but Kai had already moved to a new position, forcing her to change again. The duel had become a fast-paced dance of skill and intelligence. The audience was completely absorbed. The human warrior was no longer just surviving, he was demonstrating an unusual combination of courage, intelligence, and creativity. Every move he made challenged their assumptions. Humans could be clever, resilient, and strong when faced with impossible odds. Kai realized that he could combine misdirection with timing to create opportunities. He used sudden changes in movement, shifting his weight, and altering speed to keep Myra off balance. She responded quickly, but Kai noticed small openings with each exchange. Even the most disciplined warriors could be pressured and tested with clever tactics. Myra's eyes glimmered with respect. This human was not relying solely on courage or strength. He thought ahead, adapted quickly, and used intelligence to create advantages. She had underestimated humans before, but Kai was showing that they could rise to any challenge with cleverness and persistence. Kai continued to push forward, alternating between feints, careful strikes, and strategic movements. He avoided direct confrontation when possible, instead using agility and clever positioning to test Myra. Each exchange brought new insight into her strengths and tendencies. He learned quickly, adjusting in real time, and his confidence grew. The crowd could hardly believe what they were witnessing. A human was challenging the Queen of Zilura, matching her skill, and even forcing her to adapt. Every feint, every movement, and every clever maneuver showed the intelligence and courage that humans were capable of. Kai's actions inspired awe and admiration across the arena. Myra increased her focus, striking faster and harder. Kai dodged, rolled, and countered in a continuous cycle of action and reaction. The duel had become a display of strategy as much as strength. Kai's preparation and clever tactics allowed him to keep pace with one of the most powerful warriors in the galaxy. After several intense exchanges, both warriors paused briefly, breathing steadily. Kai's mind was alert, analyzing every strike and reaction. Myra's respect for him had grown with every move. She saw that humans, though smaller and less powerful, could challenge even the strongest beings when they combined courage with intelligence. Kai smiled faintly, knowing that his strategies were working. The duel had become a true test, a meeting of minds and skill as much as a battle of strength. He had learned from Myra's responses and used clever tactics to stay one step ahead. The human warrior was proving that intelligence and courage could rival raw power. The arena held its breath. The next exchanges would be even more challenging. Kai had gained respect and confidence, and Myra was now aware that this human could not be underestimated. The duel had become a battle of strategy, skill, and courage. Every move from this point forward would matter. Kai tightened his fists, ready for the next phase. The duel had entered a new level where intelligence, timing, and clever tactics could determine the outcome. Humans were being recognized for their potential, their courage, and their ability to rise to impossible challenges. The duel had reached a level of intensity neither Kai nor Queen Myra had anticipated at the start. The arena vibrated with tension as the human and the queen moved with precision and strategy. The crowd watched in stunned silence. Every step, every strike, and every counter was a lesson in courage and intelligence. Kai took a moment to steady his breathing. Sweat had formed on his brow, and his muscles were tired, but his focus remained sharp. He had studied Myra's movements, learned her timing, and tested her reactions. Each exchange had taught him something new. He understood that raw power alone could not win this duel. Strategy, patience, and cleverness were just as important. Myra circled him slowly, her gaze unwavering. She could see Kai's determination, his intelligence, and his courage. Most humans would have faltered by now, but he remained calm, thoughtful, and precise. Myra respected him more with each movement. She had faced powerful warriors before, but none had combined speed, strategy, and fearlessness like Kai. Kai feinted a strike to Myra's left, then pivoted quickly to the right. Myra reacted instantly, blocking and countering, but Kai anticipated her response. He moved with agility, using the arena's raised platforms and shadows to his advantage. Every movement forced Myra to adapt, to think, and to respond. The crowd murmured in astonishment. They had expected the duel to end quickly, with Myra overpowering the human. Yet Kai had held his own, displaying skill, intelligence, and courage that few had believed possible. Humans were being seen in a new light, not as fragile outsiders, but as beings capable of facing the strongest warriors. Myra stepped forward with controlled aggression, testing Kai's defenses. He dodged and countered, moving unpredictably to keep her off balance. Each strike and parry was executed with careful thought. Kai realized that the duel was no longer just about testing him, it was about mutual respect. He was beginning to understand Myra's style deeply, and she was recognizing his abilities in return. Kai made a calculated move, drawing Myra into a series of exchanges that tested her timing. She reacted with perfect skill, but the continuous adjustments required energy and concentration. Kai used the opportunity to demonstrate his adaptability, switching angles and speeds with precision. Every small success reinforced his confidence. Myra paused briefly, observing Kai with keen interest. She had seen humans as clever before, but this one was exceptional. He had anticipated her movements, adapted to her strength, and challenged her strategy. Her respect for him was growing. She realized that courage and intelligence could rival even the strongest raw power. Kai pressed forward with careful precision. He knew that overextending could leave him vulnerable, but small, controlled actions allowed him to maintain pressure without exposing himself. He moved with speed and thought, each step purposeful, each attack calculated. The duel was becoming a display of human ingenuity against alien power. Myra struck with a flurry of rapid movements, testing Kai's endurance. He ducked, rolled, and parried with agility and intelligence. He used every tool at his disposal, positioning, timing, and clever feints. The queen's attacks were strong and fast, yet Kai remained composed, proving that humans could match skill with strategy. The crowd watched in awe as Kai and Myra continued their battle. The duel had evolved into a display of mutual respect and understanding. Both warriors recognized each other's abilities and adapted accordingly. There was no anger or malice, only the challenge of skill, courage, and intelligence. Kai saw an opening, a brief moment when Myra's focus shifted slightly. He moved with controlled speed, striking toward her side, not to harm but to test her reaction. Myra blocked expertly, yet Kai could see that even the strongest warrior had limits. His human mind analyzed, adapted, and prepared for the next sequence. Myra acknowledged his skill silently, adjusting her stance and preparing for another series of exchanges. She realized that Kai's cleverness, courage, and adaptability made him more than a simple opponent. He was a warrior worthy of respect, and his presence was changing the perception of humans across Zilura. Kai's breathing remained steady. He had learned that staying calm and thinking ahead was as important as speed and strength. Each movement was deliberate, each strike a calculated test. He understood Myra's style better than before and anticipated her likely actions, responding with careful precision. The duel continued, and both warriors showed remarkable skill. Myra's strikes were powerful and fast, but Kai's intelligence and strategy allowed him to evade and counter. He used the arena to his advantage, shifting positions, exploiting shadows, and forcing Myra to adapt continuously. The crowd watched in amazement, realizing that humans could achieve extraordinary things with courage and cleverness. Kai noticed Myra slowing slightly, a sign of respect and recognition. She had been testing him, pushing him to his limits, and he had met every challenge with skill and courage. Their duel was no longer just a contest, it had become a meeting of equals. Both were learning from each other, both were adapting, and both were impressed by the other's abilities. Myra spoke quietly, her voice calm but commanding. "You are clever, human. Your courage and skill are beyond what I expected. Few could keep pace with me so steadily." Kai nodded respectfully. "I have trained for many battles, Queen Myra. I have faced difficult challenges before, but I have never met an opponent like you. Your skill and intelligence are inspiring." The crowd reacted with quiet awe. The human and the queen were no longer simply opponents, they were warriors demonstrating the highest qualities of courage, intelligence, and respect. Humans had earned recognition in a way no one had expected. Kai prepared for the next phase of the duel, moving with awareness and focus. Myra matched him, her attacks precise and controlled. Every movement was measured, every decision thoughtful. They had reached a stage where skill, strategy, and respect were as important as power. The human warrior's courage, cleverness, and adaptability had earned Myra's recognition. She was no longer seeing him as a simple challenger but as an equal in skill and mind. Every strike, every counter, and every movement reinforced the mutual respect forming between them. Kai smiled faintly, feeling the energy of the arena and the attention of the crowd. He had faced one of the strongest warriors in the galaxy and had proven his worth. The duel had evolved from a contest of strength to a display of intelligence, courage, and mutual respect. The crowd watched silently, realizing the significance of what they were witnessing. Humans, once underestimated, were capable of standing as equals to the most powerful warriors of Zilura. Kai had demonstrated not just courage but brilliance in strategy and adaptability. Myra and Kai faced each other, ready to continue the duel. Both were aware of the other's abilities, both were learning, and both had gained respect. The stage was set for the final exchanges, where intelligence, skill, and courage would determine the outcome. Kai tightened his fists and centered his mind. The duel had brought him to a point where preparation, observation, and cleverness were as important as speed and strength. He was ready to continue, ready to show that humans could rise to any challenge and earn the respect of the greatest warriors in the galaxy. The arena held its breath. Kai and Myra stood as equals in determination, skill, and courage. The human warrior had proven that intelligence and bravery could match the strongest power, and the duel was now a testament to mutual respect and the true potential of humans. Kai and Queen Myra faced each other at the center of the arena. Both were breathing steadily, muscles tense but controlled. The duel had been long and exhausting, yet neither showed signs of giving up. Their movements had been precise, clever, and fast, and the crowd watched in complete awe. Kai knew that the final exchanges would be decisive. He had studied Myra's patterns, learned her timing, and tested her reactions repeatedly. His mind raced, calculating the best way to continue without making a fatal mistake. Courage alone would not win the duel. Intelligence, strategy, and quick thinking were now more important than ever. Myra circled slowly, her eyes sharp and assessing. She had seen Kai's courage, skill, and creativity. Most humans would have faltered long before this point. But Kai remained focused, agile, and thoughtful. She respected his abilities and realized that he had earned recognition as a warrior. Kai made the first move. He feinted to the left, then quickly shifted right, attempting to force Myra to respond. She countered expertly, but Kai noticed a tiny shift in her stance. It was slight, but enough to create a small opportunity. He pressed the advantage carefully, combining speed and clever positioning. The crowd murmured with excitement. They had expected the duel to end quickly, with Myra overpowering the human. Yet Kai had survived, adapted, and now challenged her in ways few had expected. Humans were proving their worth, not through strength alone, but through courage, intelligence, and adaptability. Myra reacted swiftly, launching a series of rapid strikes designed to test his endurance and focus. Kai dodged, rolled, and countered, moving unpredictably to keep her off balance. He used the arena strategically, jumping onto raised platforms and sliding across smooth stone to gain small advantages. Each movement required timing, precision, and thought. Kai felt a surge of determination. He had prepared for this moment, and now his preparation was paying off. He was proving that humans could rise to challenges that seemed impossible. Even the strongest warrior could be challenged with intelligence, courage, and clever strategy. Myra stepped back briefly, assessing Kai's approach. She had learned to expect unpredictability from him, and she had adapted. Yet she also recognized that Kai's cleverness and courage were extraordinary. His human resilience and creativity had brought him to a level few had ever reached. Kai adjusted his stance, ready for the next phase. He knew that patience and careful observation were key. He moved with precision, keeping Myra on her toes while waiting for an opportunity to create a decisive moment. Every small movement, every feint, every step mattered. The duel continued, a breathtaking display of skill, strategy, and courage. Kai and Myra matched each other strike for strike, counter for counter. The audience watched silently, absorbed by the extraordinary performance. Humans had long been underestimated, but Kai was changing that perception in real time. Kai noticed Myra preparing for a powerful strike. He ducked just in time, rolling to the side, and used the momentum to spring to higher ground on a raised platform. From this vantage point, he could observe her stance more clearly. He saw a small opening and acted immediately, striking carefully to test her response. Myra blocked expertly, but Kai's move demonstrated that humans could think and act with creativity under pressure. She stepped back and nodded slightly, acknowledging his skill. She understood now that this duel was no longer about overpowering an opponent, it was about respect, intelligence, and the true potential of humanity. Kai pressed forward carefully, alternating between feints, careful strikes, and clever positioning. He avoided direct confrontation when possible, using agility and clever movements to test Myra's reactions. Each exchange strengthened his confidence and demonstrated that strategy and courage could rival raw strength. Myra responded with speed and precision, testing Kai further. He adapted instantly, moving unpredictably and using the arena to his advantage. Every action was deliberate, every counter thoughtful. Both warriors were aware of each other's abilities, and both were learning, growing, and respecting one another with each exchange. The crowd could hardly believe what they were witnessing. A human was challenging the Queen of Zilura, matching her skill, and forcing her to adapt. Every move Kai made was a lesson in intelligence, courage, and cleverness. Humans were being recognized for their abilities in a way no one had expected. Kai saw another opportunity. He feigned a strike, drawing Myra into a defensive movement. As she adjusted, he moved quickly to a new position, forcing her to react again. Myra blocked and countered, but Kai had achieved his goal. He had demonstrated cleverness and adaptability, earning further recognition. Myra's expression showed respect and admiration. This human warrior had proven himself worthy. He was not just brave, he was intelligent, quick-thinking, and capable of rising to challenges that seemed impossible. She realized that humans could be equals in skill and strategy when they used their courage and mind wisely. Kai and Myra paused for a brief moment, both breathing steadily, both assessing the other. The duel had become a test of mutual respect, a meeting of equals. They had learned from each other, adapted to each other, and discovered new limits of strategy and skill. Kai spoke quietly, his voice calm. "Queen Myra, your strength and skill are extraordinary. It is an honor to face you in combat. Humans may be small, but we can rise to any challenge when we use our courage and intelligence." Myra nodded in acknowledgement. "You have proven your worth, Kai. Your courage, cleverness, and adaptability are remarkable. You are no ordinary human. You have earned my respect and the respect of all who witness this duel." The crowd erupted in applause and cheers. They had seen something extraordinary, a human standing as an equal to the Queen of Zilura. Kai's skill, courage, and intelligence had changed perceptions and inspired awe. Humans were no longer underestimated. Kai lowered his stance slightly, smiling faintly. He had faced one of the strongest warriors in the galaxy and had proven himself. The duel was complete, not with a victor, but with mutual respect. He had shown that intelligence, courage, and cleverness could rival even the most powerful force. Myra stepped forward, extending her hand in a gesture of acknowledgement. "You have fought well, Kai. Today, you have shown the true potential of humanity. I recognize your strength, your intelligence, and your heart. You are welcome among the greatest warriors of Zilura." Kai took her hand, shaking it firmly. "Thank you, Queen Myra. Your respect means more than victory. Today, humans and Zelorans have learned something important: courage, intelligence, and respect can unite even the most different worlds." The arena cheered, celebrating not only the duel but the message it conveyed. Humans had risen to an impossible challenge, demonstrating skill, intelligence, and courage that could match the strongest warriors. Kai had proven that bravery and cleverness could overcome size and strength. Myra smiled, her eyes showing admiration and newfound respect. Kai had not only challenged her in combat but had earned her acknowledgement and trust. Humans were no longer outsiders to be underestimated. They were warriors capable of facing the impossible and rising with honor. Kai and Myra stood together at the center of the arena, symbols of courage, intelligence, and mutual respect. The duel had ended not with a single winner, but with understanding, recognition, and the beginning of a new alliance. Humans and Zelorans had seen what was possible when courage and intelligence met strength and skill. Kai had changed history with his determination and cleverness. His actions inspired all who watched, proving that humans could rise to any challenge, earn respect, and stand proudly among the greatest warriors in the galaxy. The sun of Zilura cast long shadows across the arena. Kai and Myra bowed slightly to each other, acknowledging the journey they had shared. The duel was over, but its lessons would endure for generations. Humans and Zelorans alike would remember the day when courage, intelligence, and mutual respect became the true victory. Kai smiled as he stepped back, feeling the energy of the arena and the admiration of the crowd. He had faced the impossible and proven that humanity could rise above expectations. The duel had ended, but the story of courage, intelligence, and honor would live forever.